Hello everyone, welcome to Herald Global. Today we have with us Mr. Ashraf Ghori, a Dubai-based filmmaker, digital artist and the founder of Expanse CGI. He is best known for creating UAE's first CGI science fiction film, Zero Error, and for his work in film, concept art and graphic novels. With years of contribution to the region's creative industry, he continues to play an important role in shaping visual storytelling in the UAE. Let's deep dive into his journey. I am Saimik and you're watching Fast Track. Let me begin by asking you, what inspired you to pursue filmmaking?
Without a doubt, I think it's my love for comics that plays the bottom line of me getting into art. And then I actually branched out into other forms of art. I always connect that as the common denominator. So once I got into comics, then got inspired by them as a kid, started creating my own, got known for creating comics in the pages of Young Times, which was like UAE's first. A lot of people will remember this fondly because this was like pre-internet era,
Yeah.
and people were, this was like one of the few creative outlets. So I got started with Young Times as a student, and from there on, again, I got into professional work, and other opportunities started presenting themselves.
What was the idea behind Zero Error when you made it?
Well, once I established my studio in um, 2007, and I actually had the means and resources to be able to tell better stories now because I got into CGI animation at the time.
Yes, yes.
And Zero Error was, it was like a personal project. So it was more of an independent effort, independent film industry, because again, there was no established film industry at the time.
Sure.
So it was a personal project that I wrote and directed, and I was hands-on involved in just about all aspects of the production. I got the local Twitterati and the social media people at that time involved, just as a fun project to be part of, and the response was just amazing.
True.
So the story was basically, again, I'm comics and sci-fi, so it was about the superheroic type of a character who's a cyborg traveling back in time and to record lost history. This was the basis of the storyline, and what I managed to do. I initially wanted to make a much more elaborate type of a project where we have like a feature film
Okay.
per se. But I was unable to do that because again, these we quickly realized that when you get into this kind of production, you need like big budgets and big backing,
True.
and it's just another ball game. So what we did was like me and a couple of uh, my colleagues who were involved in the project, we scaled down the production to make it a short film. And little did we realize that actually ended up becoming the
Yes.
CGI science fiction film that was created from this region, and it went on to gain a lot of popularity. It had a screening at Cannes, and it was it helped me sort of get known, or it helped establish my company as well as producer of some serious CGI content. And yeah, it took it from there.
Exactly. You mentioned it was the first CGI film from UAE. So, what were the technical challenges did you face?
Well, at that time, obviously, we did not have anything close to the kind of resources and tools. So we ended up because again, I was using some commercial software at the time. I think it was like 3D Studio Max. That was the basis, and then you would render out with these photorealistic renderer called V-Ray, and it's not just a plug and play type of a scenario. So you had to like build everything from scratch.
Mm.
All the characters had to be built pixel by pixel, skinned and rigged, and it was almost like creating a human being in real time. And then we had the challenge of again, there was animating, because animation is not just a click of a button either at that time. It was we had to the same scene had to be rendered like multiple times and
Sure.
then composited together to give that realistic, you know, photorealistic type of a look. So working with a post production supervisor and so on. So it was a fairly um, difficult task at the time. So this is one of the things why we had to scale the production up because to keep that up, I mean, you need like huge workstations and access to you know a huge team and so on. So then this was like what started off as a personal project, just quickly grew into like I would say a medium-sized project, and then to take it to the next level, it would have to go through proper funding, proper production team, and so on, which we couldn't because at the time, like I said, the film industry was not really established, and there was no official source of backing the project as such. We approached a few people, but to put it in real terms, just because there's not enough cinemas in the region. Even Saudi was not open at the time. There were not enough cinemas in the region to sustain a film like this commercially. So instead, what these people opted for was to be part of like a Hollywood production. So
Yes.
there was a missed opportunity over there as far as the local film industry goes. And a lot of my local friends who were also part of the industry feel the same way, that they had some very ambitious projects, but because there was no official backing as such, then they ended up missing out. But then, of course, you learn from you correct the trajectory and you know proceed to the next part of your career. And this is how it the career has always been branching off into organically, I would say, to different areas, and from again CGI to real estate and so on. So it's always like but staying within the creative industry.
So, what are the kind of timelines that we're looking at when we are talking about a medium-sized project like Zero Earth? How much time did it take?
Well, this was done in a reasonably short amount of time. The concept obviously was older because I had worked on the concept at least a year before I could even start the project. But I would say we managed to do this short in about 4 months
Okay.
of like full-fledged effort. Like no sleep, no full-on guerrilla filmmaking style.
Please tell us about your Arabic graphic novel, Antara.
So around that time, we're talking about 10 years ago, I started gaining popularity for being one of the few serious comic artists in the region. And I was featured very often in the Middle East Film and Comic Con. In fact, Arafat, who's the founder of Comic Con, was also a friend of mine, and I was involved in the initial consulting of the look and feel of the whole project. So I was featured heavily in Comic Con and IGN convention. So this got me known as a serious comic artist because my work had been published in Dark Horse and IDW, and I did a lot of independent projects in the US. So about that time, the office of Sheikh Abadur, which is Kalimat Publishing, had approached me. So I met with Her Highness, and we had a meeting about her personal project that she wanted to, because she wanted to start off a different imprint of Kalimat Publishing, which was mainly at that time just concentrating on children's publications.
Sure.
But they also wanted to branch out into a more serious storytelling in the comics genre. I don't know about comics. When I say comics, there's actually a very varied genre over there. You have everything from the funnies and the Archies to something very serious and graphic novel, which style work, which are more intense than some of the most intense movies that you may have seen. So
Yes.
so this was more sort of targeted towards the teens to adult category by bringing the story of this warrior poet Antara into in a new format because Antara has been part of the UAE folklore for ages, and this was one of the first times that it was actually presented in a comics format. So it got it was very nicely reviewed. Arab literature called it like something like a groundbreaking comic for the region. So it was well received,
Sure.
and that's how that project came about.
Please tell us about the process from where you get ideas for your stories and visuals. What is the kind of space that you utilize, and your ways of doing it? Maybe you travel. If you can share something on that.
Ideas are, of course, these are based on personal experiences or
Sure.
personal likes, to be honest. It's again, the number one source of ideas are comics and movies. And I have, I have certain likes in, you know, uh, certain types of stories, certain type of humor. So I tend to pick up various things and then try to incorporate that the next time I'm telling a story through comics or through a film. So it's really, the ideas are all over the place. Really, there's no singular source as such. But I am inspired by other artists and filmmakers. That always keeps me wanting to better myself as an artist myself.
I wanted to ask you: is there any one who influenced your art?
Yes, there are quite a few. Like some of the great fantasy artists, like Frank Frazetta, or even like classically inclined art, like from the I'm talking like from the Renaissance area. From
Okay.
you had in the early 1900s, there was Alphonse Mucha, who was the, I guess, the most famous figure of Art Nouveau. So that so all these little inspirations from various artists kind of help guide my style as well. Again, there's just so many to mention. There's Simon Bisley, who does the visceral painted work. Barry Windsor Smith, and again, Todd McFarlane. Every artist brings a different thing to
Sure.
the genre. And in filmmakers, again, there's of course, the more popular ones have always created some of the works. I'm not talking about like every filmmaker creates every movie that they touch is gold. But sometimes there are some movies which really speak to me. Like, I mean, who doesn't like The Matrix, for example? Or
Sure. Definitely.
the sci-fi was like a very influential style for me. I like the 80s animes, the 90s animes. You have Akira, you have Venus Wars, and that type of. So those are again influential in building my style of art. And of course, you have when I say movies, I'm talking like everything from Minority Report to The Godfather, or even
Sure.
Snatch, or Tintin, the animation by Spielberg. So even directors also, you have Spielberg, Peter Jackson. You're talking about maybe Christopher Nolan, Ridley Scott. I know I'm throwing a lot of names in there, but this is how it is. It's like every once in a while a filmmaker creates something that is really worth noting, and that becomes part of
True. Very true.
my staple.
Okay. What was the vision behind founding Expanse CGI, your company?
Before Expanse, I was doing illustration, animation as a freelance professional for about 10 years. So and I would always work on building relationships,
Sure.
even as a freelancer, like starting off like very early. And I would try to give in like 110% of whatever I'm doing. So if they ask for a logo, I would throw in something else along with that, or give them more variants, so the client is really, really getting what they want for. So without any specific advertising or marketing as such, I got known very quickly. So a lot of people would recommend me for. So when I work with a client, they would recommend me to 10 other people, and my list of clients getting bigger. So I figured there's a need for making this into a more professionally established service. I mean, to be very honest, my inspiration was never about the money. It was always about the art, the creating something. That was my passion. And then when you get into making something you like, then the money and everything else just follows. So that's what I wanted to do. Was like, I wanted to give this establish this company as to offer a better service, first of all, to my clients. And secondly, there was also a need as well, because at the time, I'm talking 2007 is when I established Expanse. There were a lot of government clients that I worked with, and they always brought this up, that they're always more comfortable working with companies. So this was another thing. So when you have a company, it just gives you more grounding for
Sure.
of course, it's always better than working as a freelancer. Was
Yeah.
there might not be any accountability as such. And over here, when you
Yeah.
have a company, it's another level of the next level game when it comes to like professionalism. So that was the thing. And even I was saying about giving 110% back. I mean, I always believe in this, but even my company slogan is outdo yourself.
Okay.
This is also my it fits into my 110% mode of operation when I work. This is we have a concept called ihsan in our culture. So it's to strive for excellence. It's not just you're not just winging it. You're not just creating something and then yalla khalas, project done. You're always trying to up the game a little. You're always trying to give it a little bit more excellent. So this was all. These were all my inspirations to get into a more corporate and culture and establish Expanse CGI.
Okay. How was the experience of being part of the 63rd Cannes Film Festival?
When I was sitting in my studio at the time, I used to live in Karama near Dubai. We're like working at nights and chipping away and trying to muster whatever extra resources we can get and trying to get people involved. I never for once realized that maybe in a year's time this project would be going to the Cannes Film Festival, or I would be walking the red carpet. So again, that was a once in a lifetime experience because that was just so new at the time, and I never once expected that we would be reaching there, and we got the invitation, and before you realize our submission, next moment we're on the flight over there. We're walking the red carpet and we have a screening over there, which was well received as well. Again, the experience was just out of this world, and I would not change that for anything.
Okay. What is your take on AI in filmmaking? Does it, as an artist, as a creative person, does it scare you? Not personally, but as a fraternity. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I don't know about if you know that I'm an adopter of technology. So in the in the early sort of 2000s, people were very skeptical about going digital, and they were like questioning, is this really art? And is this? So I was definitely on the advocacy side, saying that yes, you need to adopt because 50 years from now, nobody knew about this technology. 50 years from now, nobody talks. Forget 50 years. I mean, 20 years later, nobody's talking about that. It's just part of it. You just know Photoshop, yeah, you do it. This is just something you do. I say the same thing about AI as well. It's not. A lot of people are using it as a scapegoat or for fear mongering to say that this is going to be replacing artists and so on. I say it's only a tool. Like the way I started off using a pencil, and then I
Sure.
would like use a crockel pen and with India ink and draw inking. And then I got into paintings and oil painting and different genres. I even did laser shows. So these are like just I say this is the way I don't love or hate a pencil. I like it. It's a tool. I say AI is very similar to that. It's a tool of how you use it to tell your story or whatever it is that you want to use it for. Obviously there are there's a lot of people that will now create very substandard work and call it art. That's not what I'm about. I mean, I'm not talking about the push of a button, because the push of a button is like it's like a lottery. You may get
Sure.
something, but then when you're doing consistent work, I'm working on a 10-minute short film right now, which is about to possibly come out next or this month. This film is a 10-minute Gen AI short. And it took me, about as much effort. Obviously, the technology is faster and it gets it, but it probably takes me about as much effort as even putting together a CGI film, because we're using
Okay.
techniques to meld things together. You cannot tell a story cohesively when your characters are jumping all over the place and your environments are shifting from frame to frame. There's no emotion. There's like a there's no acting. There's no heart to the storyline. So you cannot just expect AI to do all of that. So this, for me, is AI plus the human touch. You have to have your creative. So, for example, even if I'm doing a movie poster for a client, they will give me a bunch of production photo stills, and I have to make sense from there what I want to do. This part I'm not never going to give to AI. I'm the one choosing what goes where, and then where I'm going to use AI is basically where I have maybe a mismatch of styles, and then I have to use them to make it a cohesive style, or the lighting in one frame does not match the lighting in the other frame. So I need to have something consistent. So I would use it as a tool to enhance my work.
Sure.
I don't know about the fact that I am also a creative partner, an official creative partner for a dozen, maybe creative platforms, AI platforms. I'm talking about like Kling and Minimax and Halo and Design and
Okay.
Newsfield, and I'm actually an official creative partner for them. So again, adopting to new technologies, I think it's very necessary for designers. Also, if AI is not your thing, don't do it. If you're known as the guy who makes beautiful artworks from toothpicks, do it. I would say stick to your craft. Don't just jump in and be forced to use AI in something that you're really not comfortable with, and and then you just become another average designer, and then you're not doing anybody any favor. Then you just revert back to whatever it is you were doing
True.
eventually. So yeah, because later on, um, when this fad of AI it settles down, if it's not the hot topic anymore, there will be a separate demand for AI creators. There'll be a separate demand for traditional artists. There'll be a separate demand for people who draw by hand. Whatever it is, it's people will stay in their lanes. So once this forcible conversion is not happening. Also, yeah, very very interesting thing. I last year, I Expanse CGI has now an offshoot called
Okay.
Remix.ai, with a remix with a double X. Remix.ai. This is the first fully Gen AI studio facility that
Okay.
is established in Dubai. So
Wow.
here we are aiming to create commercial type work that is human centric, but again, using technologies with Gen AI, and then we combine with like our traditional expertise to create something something respectable that can
Okay.
pass off for
Okay.
traditional filmmaking. That's where we are heading, the first fully synthetic type of video production.
Okay. Please tell us about your upcoming projects.
I mentioned Remix just now. This is something which is an ongoing thing, because I established that last year, and I'm in the process of making that into, because I've already got a very decent response from existing clients, from others, to create content for using this platform. There's a project that has just been launched. I did for Saudi. This is called Antami Comics. It's for Dara, which is King Abdulaziz Archive, based in Riyadh. I've been working with them for quite a few years now, and what they want to do, what they want to do is bring out the traditional, rich cultural heritage stories from Saudi Arabia
Okay.
to, again, a new genre, to
Okay.
comics, to apps, to children's literature. So I've been fairly involved in bringing this. The last Riyadh festival, they actually announced this as well. The Riyadh comic, not comic, sorry, a book fair, Riyadh book fair. And so this literally just came out now. It's Anthony Comics. It's an anthology of different stories. So I actually worked hands on all the stories. Like there are 5 different stories in this book, and each one has a different style. So again, I call myself a generalist. I actually work with many different styles as well, like depending on what's needed. But yeah, this was a good showcase of that, and this is slated to become a more ongoing, regular series.
Okay.
They have floated the idea. It's not been officially confirmed yet, but again, I expect myself to be creating more of that. I've been working on a personal project. It's a short film called Archive 95. This was to be created for the 1 billion follower summit, and it's expected to be played in January at the summit.
Okay.
So I'm kind of looking forward to that. There's again, every day a different creative project comes along from my Expanse venture.
Sure.
So yeah, it's fairly dynamic. Not too many long-term projects, but a lot of them do come in. It's shorter time, quick turnaround. Recently, we did the sort of design promos for Jitex,
Okay.
and these were also created as videos with the remix facility as well.
My last question to you, a word of advice to the young filmmakers from UAE.
And I don't really consider myself that successful to be giving advice, but like I said, stay true to your art. I say stick to the 110% because when you do something, do it with essence. Bring genuine love of the work. Because if you don't love the work that you're doing, you'll leave it at some point. My best advice would be to perseverance and do what you love.
Thank you so much for the time. It is an absolute pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much.